Hi everyone, welcome to TGIF, another Friday, another episode. Last week we spoke about a couple of announcements from our flagship Ignite conference. This time we will reflect on one more announcement which has a huge impact on application development landscape. I'm joined here by Bapi Chakravarti, who is our infrastructure and digital innovation specialist. Bapi, welcome to TGIF.
Thank you, Sandeep. Hi, everyone.
So Bapi, quick one. Azure Container Apps, right? I think the moment we heard that term, I think a lot of developers got excited. I guess, when we spoke offline also, we felt it's pretty cool, right? I want your first impression in terms of what that brings to the table.
It's really an exciting announcement, I would say, because it lets me develop focus on my application,
Right.
My business logic, and then takes away all the pain of infrastructure management. So I think one of the key scenarios that really helps us to achieve is to focus on my application logic, business logic,
Right.
and not worry about any of the infrastructure management plumbing work at all.
Right.
So I think that's the beauty of it, and I loved it.
Awesome. So I think the philosophy, which is technology is getting democratized, is only getting better, right? So let's reflect on this announcement, Bapi. So if you look at in the current times, when people are building applications, I think the complexity exists for sure, right? The moment we say we want to embrace a microservice architecture pattern, the game begins. I mean, it's a whole suite of application frameworks that are available for us to look at, consider, and make decisions. So let's reflect on a journey that's an application developer will take when it comes to architecting and designing for the modern world.
Absolutely. I think microservices architecture really solved a lot of problems in the traditional way how we used to develop applications. If you reflect on it, how we used to develop applications in a monolithic way, and the challenges we had, we easily and slowly shifted towards microservices architecture, which allowed us to develop applications in a modular fashion, autonomous way, and then manage and maintain and reach a global customers in a more efficient way.
Right.
We could release more services quickly.
Correct.
However, it had its own challenges itself, right? In terms of traceability, observability, service discovery, knowing which particular container and microservices running where,
Right.
and then eventually identifying if there is a challenge and how do we secure them.
Mhm.
So that means every containerized microservices that we used to run,
Right.
it had its own challenges on its
Right.
way, and hence came the Kubernetes side of it.
Right.
And then of course there are other parts, for example DevOps,
Right.
and then making sure that I'm able to release my applications in a similar seamless fashion without
Right.
having to impact my existing application in production.
Right.
There are a lot of complexities that it brought there, but for sure Kubernetes and similar kind of managed platforms
Right.
really solved a lot of problems there as well.
Got it. Let's look at the framework that exists today in terms of how do we ensure we build an application which can scale with demand and complements business requirements, right? Number one, if you look at it, let's take a microservice, a simple function being containerized, right? Number one. Number two, when it comes to distributed nature of it, we bring in Dapper, right? Number three, when it comes to orchestrating within Kubernetes, right?
Yes.
I think for microservice, containers, Dapper, Kubernetes. So there's a lot of infrastructure element
Yes,
there,
absolutely.
right? So I want your reflection on, yes, we announced Azure Container Apps, the complexity exists. How is that solving it in a dominant way?
I think you really put it in a very nice way. So if you look at it traditionally, even though we had a lot of control and
Right.
power in our hands to manage the underlying orchestrated framework like Kubernetes part of it,
Right.
or a fully managed service such as Azure Web Apps for that matter to host some of those containerized apps also. But
Right.
we needed a path wherein we could still do development
Right.
Kubernetes way, and not worry about too much about the orchestration platform management or infrastructure management at all.
Got it.
That is the benefit or beauty of Azure Container Apps that brings together. For
Right.
example, if you look at here,
Yeah.
what I have is probably a few microservices developed in a containerized fashion
Right.
and deployed in its own specific environment,
Right.
and then loaded up with capabilities such as Dapper, which is a distributed application runtime,
Right.
which solve a lot of microservices problems such as security, load balancing, service discovery,
State
and
management.
observability,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So this solves this problem, and then they run in their own contained infrastructure,
Right.
their own, and ability to scale either basis HTTP traffic
Right.
or events or basis a long running job that is running in the background.
Correct.
So that's the beauty of it that Azure Container Apps really brings together
Okay.
to develop and build on serverless platform like on Azure Container Apps.
Wonderful. I think container apps truly, I would say, demystifies the entire complexity that we have in terms of application modernization using, let's say, containers, Dapper, Kubernetes, and gives you, I would say, a foundation for one to start worrying less about infrastructure. Right?
Absolutely.
Awesome. So I think for all developers or all any leaders listening to us today who wants to look at how can I simplify app development and yet have a path forward where you can embrace all of these popular frameworks like Dapper and Kubernetes. So I think Azure Container Apps is a good start, which simplifies everything for one to start building modern applications. So Bapi, thanks so much for joining today.
Thank
And all for all listeners today, have a wonderful Friday and a great weekend ahead. Bye-bye.